Hi everybody, I'm Emanuela Paciotti from POLI.design, and today I will be moderating the presentation of the Specializing Master in Design for Food in collaboration with Università di Parma. Please feel free to use the chat to ask any questions you may have, which will be addressed in the second part of the session. Now let me introduce the speaker, Professor Stefano Maffei. Welcome.
Thank you very much for introduction. I'm here to present this fantastic Specializing Master in Design for Food. Just to start, I introduce the faculty of our master. Obviously, I'm the director of this master, but I have also with me a fantastic staff made by Francesco Bombardi, is my co-director, and by two coordinators for the didactic activities, is Barbara Parini and Giovanna Gigante. First of all, I have to introduce what is for us design for food. Obviously, when we think about food, we imagine our daily experience, so eating as an experience that we really have as individual. But what we need to understand better that is food is a system that is complex, that goes from, I don't know, services, product, the entire technologies that in some way develop what we eat every day. And especially we are imagining that this gigantic conundrum of task, of challenges is really a challenge for us and for the entire humanity. So I think that one of the important goals of our master is through an approach that combines design, gastronomic and humanistic science, engineering and food technology, we could imagine a transition in this system that deals with sustainability and circular economy. An important news this year is also acknowledging this collaboration between Politecnico di Milano, our main institution, with POLI.design, and the University of Parma, that is a well-renowned university in Emilia-Romagna, that is also important because it's a hub for research and food technologies, and also because Emilia-Romagna is the center of our so-called food valley, in which the most important food industry are located. Obviously, the goals of the master are multiple, so we have to imagine that what we want in general do is addressing complexity. So it's about acquiring a vision, a method and tool to intervene in the food supply chain. It's about understanding which technology could really foster innovation within the food sector. It's the ability of developing an idea, a strategic idea on how to intervene despite some important challenges like climate change, for example, or the idea of food crisis. But also imagining to acquire skills that are relevant to innovate individual food experience, plus also imagine that all these things encompasses a complexity that need to be addressed, especially if we want to work with enterprises and institutions. The work that we do here is obviously very specific. We could be considered an horizontal product because obviously our goal is to develop this incredible amount of skill that is on one side theoretical and critical, because obviously we need to understand the basis of the possible way of facing crisis and build opportunities. On the other side, obviously everything linked to food is also how these challenges impact on a territorial level, so how the food chains are transformed by these challenges. But in all these aspects, we have to also think with a design attitude, with a transition attitude that is able to manage the different phases of innovation. So from the broad research spectrum of activities to the most relevant innovation in terms of products and service. This is a fantastic characteristic that is proper of Politecnico attitude, because obviously our specialty is really made of this mix of competencies that goes from design, innovation, engineering, also the idea of competence that is dedicated to places, so architecture and interior design. So all these things really are able to produce this innovative way of developing competency. This is less or more the timeline of our product. We will start in October 2026. The first part of the course is dedicated to develop this theoretical basis, because obviously we have candidates that come from different backgrounds, so we need to give them a sort of common language in which we have a lecture or exercise that allow them to mature a common vision, common language, and also bring them to connect their competencies in order to develop an overall vision that is transdisciplinary. The second part that starts in terms of educational offer starts less or more in February 2027. It will be dedicated from moving to the theoretical basis to the education about tools and practices. We are trying to imagine here that obviously we want to move from a more academic perspective to a more professional one. We need to do so to ask our professor to help the students that are working in group to develop methodology and then use tools and practices to develop a real experience in terms of transformation, in terms of projectual attitude. And this is particularly relevant because there is a part of our course that is dedicated to real project experience, like workshop, and is reinforced by the study trip, but I will introduce them later. And at the end of this path that is at a certain point, I would say professional, there is an internship or a professionalizing project in collaboration with POLI.design, in which the students could develop really on-field experience that could allow them to really use the competencies they matured during the course. At the end of this process, we have a sort of master thesis that could be dedicated to the project developed in the internship or in the professionalizing process, and then we have the final exam. Here is a sort of very quick resume of which are the main educational areas that compose the masters. So first is food science and technology area. Obviously, technology and food are always linked. There are a lot of considerations that we could make about the idea of food safety, the fact that obviously our experience in terms of tasting is also linked to a precise technology or practice linked to sensorial analysis and the way in which analyze in a scientific way the food we eat. We also are dealing with some important trends that are nowadays relevant in the conversation about food transition, so the new ways of interpreting the nutritional value and the transformation of food, just like, to make the example, food fermentation. There is a second area that is dedicated to what we call humanities and food studies area, so in which we discuss the idea that food has a social impact, and this means that we could interpret it in a different way, so through semiotics, through the ecological perspective, introducing what circularity means when we deal with system, and also see how regulation could shape this environment, because it's quite relevant, because food obviously is a experience that is different from context to context, from society to society. One of the most important area, the relevant one, I would say, is design area. I'm part of this area of competence. I teach also in this part. And this is a sort of very broad exploration on how the different area of the disciplinary paths of design could intervene in the different part of food experience. So going from product, the materiality of product, to what we imagine could be the narrative, the branding, the way in which you communicate food, but also encompassing everything in this food experience, in which you could, on one side, imagine the individual perspective, but also the collective one. And this means also imagining that this is a social kind of experience that also includes disciplines that, like I was mentioning before, architecture, interior design, but also the discussion on how the retail system is shaped. Moving on, this is the other important design area is, as I was saying before, this workshop area. We are always organizing at least 3 workshops, during the second part on the master. The first is dedicated usually to product service innovation, like the second one. Just to make an example, we worked in the past year with Garofalo, a famous pasta brand, on the transformation of a very traditional product like spaghetti, an iconic format of pasta, Italian pasta, in something that could be influenced by Eastern culture. So the idea of ramen, so how we could develop a new way of interpreting a tradition and heritage that is quite relevant in Italy to open a new perspective in a market, a fantastic, important market like China. Also, the third workshop is dedicated to product service innovation, but sometimes we use this occasion also to develop a workshop for institution. Just to say, this year we started a collaboration with Caritas. Caritas is an important Catholic organization, and we did this workshop dedicated to the idea of food donation chain, and food donation technology. Continuing the illustration of the competence area, we have also a food engineering area in which we for sure develop the business perspective, the business modeling, and the logistic that is one of the important ingredients of this development of product. Moving on, another important thing is the study tour. We offer 2 different kind of study tour in the master. One will be in Emilia-Romagna, as I was saying, just because we collaborate with University of Parma and because it's one of the relevant, an important area for food sector in Italy. We will offer a tour through gastronomic experience, enterprises, institution, museum, a lot of content that, in our opinion, really allow the student to understand the complexity that we were talking about and we deal with in the master. But we will offer also a new format that will be dedicated to Milan and Milan area. And we call this urban food exploration because obviously Milan is one of the important cities in which both industry and food experiences are located. So we think that this could enrich also the perspective of Milan as the center of this design innovation dedicated to food sector. At the end, we have also an area of we call empowerment area because we gave advice and we also help students in shaping their presentation or the presentation of their competence through this career building course, and also helping them in developing the curricular traineeship or professional development in collaboration with POLI.design structure. So this is a slide that was synthesizing what I already said about the study tour. I think that one of the important gain that the student could have from this experience is also understanding in depth the quality and diversity of Italian food culture. For sure, we are known as one of the important cuisine in the world, but this means that behind this gastronomic experience, there's a huge network of producers, a huge network of individuals and enterprises that are researching continuously new solutions of product and services. These are some of the images. As you see, it's a kind of idyllic scenario in which they go around. This is about visiting vineyards in Emilia for the famous wine Lambrusco. I have a personal note here because I'm coming from Modena, so this is like speaking of my territory. Another important thing is dealing with the new way of cultivating food, so both on a urban scale, talking about urban growth, but also the way in which some of the products that we usually eat arrive at our mouth, so from farm to fork, as we usually say. An important visit is the Consorcio del Parmigiano Reggiano, this iconic cheese that is one of the, I would say, the Italian excellence around the world, and we see and we understand how the complex system that is behind this production works. Another iconic product is balsamic vinegar. As you know, it's an incredible tradition. This very precious product is on the table of the most important chef in the world, and this is still made with this heritage craftsmanship that help you understand again that Italy is on one side heritage, and on the other side incredible innovation. There are gastronomic tasting. This is one of the examples of our course in which we show what we call sensorial analysis. All the food that you usually eat, especially if it has an industrial background, is always being tested on one side from food safety perspective, but also on the sensorial analysis perspective, because as you know, you have to be constant in the kind of taste that you eat. So if you are a brand, you have to have this continuity. And on one side, this is a guarantee for the final client. On the other side is the idea that you are configuring an experience on a product that people could really acknowledge. Again, images taken from this retail shop it's a chain of specialty coffee, Cafesal, here in Milan, in which, as you say, even if in a small scale, because it's not a big enterprise, you see going from the coffee beans to the final roasting process to the tasting. So also understanding again that food is not just what you eat at the last stop of this incredible chain, but is an experience that starts very far, sometimes from your life. And this is an important thing. This is a very synthetic presentation of the brand with which we had collaboration, both in master or sometimes bringing their case studies inside the discussion during the courses. As you see, there are the last workshop that we are doing this year, so Caritas Diocesana Reggio Emilia, in which, as I was saying, we are preparing this food donation workshop. And Surgita, this is one of the most important Italian brands about frozen food, and we are developing a project dedicated to the valorization of frozen foods that sometimes is perceived as a low quality food. Final image, as you say, some shots taken from the workshop. As you see, it's a hands-on experience made together with the staff of the teacher, but also in groups, that also really trains the ability of collaborating and working together. Which are the professional outcomes in a very fast synthesis. The idea that you could become a food project manager, both in research and in development operation, a food service or product designer, so a way of interpreting this professional outcome that is quite near to the design world. So again, developing product and service system, food brand manager, developing the communication side of this possibility. And also imagine that you could not work just as a food consultants, but also as a food startup. And we have cases of our students that develop that. Finally, a food innovation specialist that could work especially in consultancy agency. Now I think that I have to pass the word to my moderator for the next information about the enrollment process.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I would like to provide some details about the application process for the next edition of the Specializing Master in Design for Food, which will begin in October 2026. If you go to the POLI.design website on the Specializing Master webpage, you'll find a full list of the required materials for the selection phase. If you click on the apply button, you'll be able to create your personal account and upload all the necessary files. The application will be completed on the Politecnico di Milano website by uploading the documents related to your academic qualifications. If you need assistance during this phase, you can scan the QR code and book a call. As you can see, there are two main steps. The first one is the selection step, which must be completed no later than 60 days before the course starting date. And then there is the enrollment step to be completed within 45 days. Please be aware that applications are processed in a chronological order and spots are limited, so don't wait until the last minute. Additionally, by uploading your documents, you'll already be eligible to attend the next recruiting phase on March the 26th from 5 p.m. and April the 2nd from 5 p.m. In this slide, you can find the course fee listed along with our promotional policy designed specifically for this program, an initiative to support the design potential for those who choose POLI.design. We would like to highlight the early bird promo with variable discounts until all places are filled. And now we can move to the Q&A session. So I will go through some questions that we received in the chat. The first question is, good morning. Is it possible to take short courses related to this sector, or is there only this 2 years course?
I have a positive and a negative answer. It is not possible to take short courses, but the program lasts 1 year from October to nearly, I would say nearly October. Usually we take 1 or 2 months more to complete the final exam with the thesis. So the program lasts 1 year, less or more.
Thank you. And another question, are there specific academic backgrounds you tend to prioritize in applicants? For example, would a background in humanities be considered relevant?
Absolutely, yes. We had already cases of students enrolled coming from that background. I would say that this idea of diversity is something that we value a lot. So we are not really frightened about the fact that at the beginning, people coming from different backgrounds could have, let's say, different languages or different competencies. This is really what we imagine when we think about interdisciplinarity. So we value also background coming from humanistic side, fantastically adapt for us.
Thank you. Next question. Is the location of the study tour already fixed or it may vary?
For next year, we are planning to be again in Emilia-Romagna, just for the fact that we are collaborating with University of Parma, and some of the courses will be developed in connection with their faculty. So it will be a plus to have this further connection, both with teaching and experience on the field. On the other side, I would say that this urban exploration is still to be designed. So we had ideas. We started some contacts with some food design studios, some restaurants that are quite interesting for their offering, some itinerary in urban food enterprises. So this is, I would say, a little bit more open, while we are planning again to be in Emilia-Romagna next year.
Fantastic. Someone asks, are the study tours included in the master cost, or is it out of it?
Absolutely included. So I think it's a very interesting package, especially if students from abroad could also imagine to live this not just as a master experience, but as Italy experience, having the opportunity to be guided through an important, I would say, itinerary, and on one side learn, on the other side having fun.
Fantastic. Another question for you. Should students have specific knowledge in the field to be admitted?
Obviously, when we receive candidates, so a request for a colloquium, we do, as always, a sort of evaluation of the CV, of their study path. But I would say that, again, it's more a discussion about motivation than the idea of selecting exclusively from the kind of competence that the candidates have. So in my opinion, there is no a strict rule, and the final proof to be admitted is a colloquium, and that's it.
Perfect. Another question related to the last one. I have a background in food technology, but I don't know anything about design. Am I eligible?
Absolutely, yes. I think I sincerely advise you to come, because I think that is really what you are missing in this moment, so the projectual capacity.
Thank you. Another participant asks, can internships be only in Italy, or they can be also abroad?
They could be also abroad. Obviously, there is an offer that is also connected to POLI.design, so the institution that is producing the master. So we usually offer places in Italy, but in some cases, because some of these enterprises are multinational company, we could also imagine to extend the proposal to another country that is connected to the Italian place. Second thing, in case there are opportunities also in foreign country, we could discuss them and agree, obviously, with a sort of specific conversation between POLI.design and the enterprise chosen. But it's possible also to do this abroad.
Thank you. We don't have other questions, so I thank Professor Maffei for the presentation, for being here with us, and I thank all the participants, and see you next presentation. Bye.
Bye.